Hey everyone, an interesting question today about sort of blanking out. Hi Claire, how do I address the physical symptoms that seem to prevent me taking on this wonderful information? For example, I can become so overwhelmed, in brackets, shut down, during a webinar that I have no recall of the content. I'd love your thoughts on that one. Yeah, so it doesn't have to be as part of a course, does it, or a webinar? It can be moments when we might be in a meeting at work, or we might be in a conversation with someone, or um, asked to do something, and there's a sort of opting out, isn't there? This listener called it shut down. And these times are really interesting. When when we get into the practice of that all behavior, all reactions, all ways of being are information about what's going on in the system, then a sort of physical blanking out or shutting down, overwhelm is really, really interesting. And it draws us to looking at what is being discussed in that meeting or in that webinar that creates that sort of reaction. So what's the relationship between the system, the mind-body system, and the content of the webinar? Because really, these things are neutral words, aren't they? The words are just sounds. And then what the mind creates of the sounds and how it interprets them and the impact that those words then have within the system is going to be really revelatory about really our buttons and our triggers and our capacity and the edges of our comfort. And that's it really, and that's what we're seeing in action. And so that physical shutting down is the equivalent as well, isn't it, of all the places in our life where we withdraw, where we close up shop, and cut off communication, or say no to something, or put barriers up. It will be the same thing, and it will be because there is something that that's heard that sort of puts the system under threat. And what puts the system under threat is either physical threat, and the more severe that is, the more deeply present really we are to it, the more responsive, the more sane we are, the more we're dealing with actual information that is happening in real time. Or it's a threat to an identity. It's like the survival of the idea, either the idea of what we are, of how the world is, of how things work, of what another person is. And the information coming in is challenging that. And it's challenging that to such an extent that the system closes off. And so just the fact of this happening can either send us deeper into that resistance, deeper into the, and that does happen on courses, people, that shutting down is taken as evidence that this isn't right for me, this is boring or rubbish or confronting, or and it's not for me, and I'm just gonna, so I mentally shut down during the call, and then I physically shut down when I take myself off. And that's when the mind is lost in its own reactions. But when we're in observing mode and we watch that reaction, so like the listener here, brilliant. I mean, there's such freedom in being able to observe a reaction and then inquire into it, question it. That's magnificent, isn't it? Like really, then it's like an opening to a greater freedom within us, because then on the next webinar, we're in tune. We're like watching what reactions come up, what emotions, what sense of fight or flight is happening, and we don't take it as information about truth, about reality. It's information about the wiring of a system, about the conditioned learning of a system that is not actually responding to reality. It's responding to protect an illusion. Oh, I love it. So it's just being able to ask that question is freedom. It is the moment of not being lost anymore, and it's of going, what is this? What is going on here? So thank you, really good. So I would say is just keep watching that, see it, see what trigger words, see what trigger sentences or concepts, or see where the reaction intensifies. And all of it is making transparent what's been learned, what's been believed. And when it becomes transparent, it's now just information. It's not the hidden dictator. Yeah, very cool. Thank you. Bye.